Why should I put my career on the line to save the lives of young black men when I'm going to be called a racist? It's easier for me to let them die in pools of their own blood and I'll have a better career. That's what this anti-racist nonsense does. It kills young black men. If I'd have become mayor this year when I stood against Andy Burnham in Greater Manchester, what I was going to do was set up a panel to look at every grooming gang report in Greater Manchester. I wasn't going to commission a new one. What's the point? They all say the same bloody thing. So I was going to analyse every report in Greater Manchester and highlight senior police officers, and I was going to sack them, and they could take us to court and try to defend themselves in court. There's a section of white people, mainly women, left-wing women, who look upon diversity and look upon the history of white people and feel shame and feel guilty. Why couldn't those African people have had the same start in life as me? I feel guilty. We need to help them. But what they're basically saying is these people are children and not as good as us, and we need to look after them and we need to damage ourselves so they can catch up. And it's the worst type of racism. It's the worst type of looking at a different group of people and feeling pity. I'd rather have someone be racist to me than feel pity for me. I mean, there's nothing worse than pity. Pity kills your soul.
Yeah, who are you? You were born black. I mean, what a ridiculous statement that is to make. Because you've got black skin, you're not capable of getting to where I've got to. You know, a wealthy, middle class, middle-aged white woman. I've got to make sure that you're okay and stuff like that. And this is the whole culture. I know it's gone off topic a little bit, this really, but this is half the problem. Like, you've got the majority of people, knife crime in this country is committed by young white males under the age of 25. The most likely victims of knife crime in this country are young white males, black males under the age of 25. You know why? Because they're being told by people like Dawn Butler or being told by these wealthy middle class white women that they're victims from the second they leave the womb. So of course they're going to be brought up to think I've got no life chances, no prospects, I'm not going to get anywhere. So I'm going to turn to a life of crime, drugs, and God knows what else, and then probably die before I'm 30 because I've managed to get into this gang culture that's basically been bred into me from the second I was born.
Exactly. Just correct one point. I think you made a slight mistake there. So when you say the offenders of knife crime, you mean they're black, majority are black men.
Yeah, or did I say white man? I got
You said
frustrated. Yeah.
white. Yeah, I just want to make
Sorry, yeah.
sure. Yeah,
So to
yeah,
be
no,
clear,
yeah.
the majority of knife crime in this country is committed by black youths under
Yeah.
the age of 25, and the most likely people to be victims of knife crime are also black youths under the age of 25.
And that's why we have this problem in the country, because to tackle that problem, you're going to be called a racist. And the police, the politicians are looking at this going, I could tackle this, but it'll ruin my career. Why should I put my career on the line to save the lives of young black men when I'm going to be called a racist? It's easier for me to let them die in pools of their own blood and I'll have a better career. That's what this anti-racist nonsense does. It kills young black men. I don't care who, I don't care the colour of perpetrators, the colour of victims. We should be stopping violent crime. But we've created an atmosphere where most professionals will do nothing about it because of that accusation. And we've just seen it in the press last couple of days. The little girl who was killed by her dad, and they reckon the reason why social services and no one stepped in sooner was because they were scared of being called racist again. How many children do we allow to be killed in this country before we get some balls and say, call me any names you want? Because calling me a name isn't as important as saving that child's life. And that child's life comes before my reputation and my career. No one ever does that anymore.
Yeah, what was her name? Sarah, wasn't it? She's basically collateral damage, dying on the altar of wokery, isn't she? God forbid you should ever say something bad about somebody because of their skin color, but it's okay for them to smash a child around. I mean, it's absolutely disgusting and horrendous, the things that came out of that. Hearing that 999 call makes you want to punch that guy. Not fit to call himself a father anyway. But again, the authorities, you're right. Social services were told numerous times. Teachers were reporting her bruises and her injuries that she was coming to school with numerous times. The police were told. Neighbours were reporting it, and no one did a single thing about it. And there's no accountability though. Rest assured, none of these chief constables, none of these social workers, none of the people at the top will be held to account. They'll be able to carry on with their well-paid jobs, and you'll probably never even find out their names. The people who let down that poor child, and she won't be the only one. There'll be many more as well who have to face things like this, and it's just absolutely things like that with involving children sicken me, really do upset me.
There's a whole list of kids like that. 20 years ago it was Victoria Climbier. So many years ago it was Baby P. I think he was called Baby P. And the reason why, and he was a white kid. The reason why he didn't get stops from being murdered was because his mum and her partner were both lesbians. So they were every time they got confronted, they used the defense. People reported because we're lesbians. And because we're so scared of these words, not anymore, I'm not scared of any of them, but people who work for the council and police are so scared of them, they allow children to die. And we do it. Same with the grooming gangs. That's what that was about. It was about, oh, I don't want to upset the community. I don't want to be called a racist and Islamophobe. When are we going to learn these lessons? And the only day we'll learn these lessons is when we start sacking people for letting the children down. That will send a message throughout the whole country that if you fail, you lose your job. And then at that point, people will start losing their job. But at the moment, you can fail, the child can die. And as long as you tick the boxes, your job's safe. And it's not good enough. If I'd have become mayor this year when I stood against Andy Burnham in Greater Manchester, what I was going to do was set up a panel to look at every grooming gang report in Greater Manchester. I wasn't going to commission a new one. What's the point? They all say the same bloody thing. So I was going to analyse every report in Greater Manchester and highlight senior police officers, and I was going to sack them, and they could take us to court and try to defend themselves in court. And I was going to highlight all the top social workers and council staff, and I can't sack them as mayor of Greater Manchester, but I was going to name and shame them to the press because that's the only way we change this.
I'm glad you mentioned Andy Burnham because I hope he watches your podcast sometimes. He might do because he might consider you some sort of rival in the future. I don't know. But he's a sniveling little coward when it comes to this. I've seen him at community meetings and people have started going mad about this grooming gang thing I'm not saying he helped cover it up, but he could have done a damn sight more along with the councils to find out what was going on with the police and why nobody was acting. And he runs away from these community meetings. He won't sit there and listen to people. He runs. And you know what? The people of Manchester were stupid enough to vote for him again in huge numbers. So next time this kind of thing happens, don't complain because you're voting the morons in that allow this stuff to happen. Or even if they find out about it, they certainly don't act